What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
So rest assured, we aren't trying to seize the throne.
Mithra had already been briefed on this beforehand. It was widely known throughout the Empire that despite winning the battle, Rimuru didn't demand much in terms of reparations. He desired friendly relations going forward, and considering that, Mithra saw no reason to doubt Testaross's words. So, what should he do? He had been given two options, but he wasn't confined to them. If there were other paths available, he had the freedom to choose. However, as Mithra reluctantly accepted his circumstances, it seemed unlikely that any alternative would lead him to victory. The question lingered. Should Mithra take charge of imperial politics as the prime minister, or should he align himself with Minutes and rally the nobles behind him? To be honest, Mithra didn't feel particularly invested in making this decision. What he truly desired was to retreat to his mansion and immerse himself in his passion for painting. People saw him as a natural-born leader due to his noble lineage and duke status, but that was a misconception. After all, his mother's beauty had won the affection of Rudra's father. She exuded a strong-willed aura reminiscent of Velgrynd, but it was only surface level. Beneath that commanding exterior, she was a calm woman. If she had wanted, she could have claimed the title of queen as soon as Rudra was born. However, she prioritized personal freedom over such privileges. During the brief period until Rudra gained independence, she indulged in every luxury as his mother. It was an incredibly out-of-the-ordinary choice, but soon after she gained her freedom, she unexpectedly fell in love with Duke Barsa Hilmenard. Barsa, a remarkably attractive young man, sparked rumors that it was Mithra's mother who had initially captivated him, whisperings of the former queen having her way with any man she desired. However, the truth couldn't be further from that. Their connection blossomed from pure love, and their intense affection for each other remained, even though it held no significance in the current circumstances.
To be honest, I have no desire whatsoever to become entangled in politics. The mere thought of dealing with power-hungry individuals and flatterers disgusts me. But,
to Mithra's dismay, he possessed an extraordinary level of popularity and charm. Additionally, his intellect was formidable, ensuring that none of his more questionable schemes ever came to light. Consequently, he amassed a considerable following, with many of his followers venturing off in their own directions before he could rein them in. The most egregious example occurred when a particular earl suffered a decline in social standing due to Mithra's actions. One day, Mithra accidentally collided with the earl. Oblivious to his surroundings, the earl refused to offer an apology. At that time, Mithra was still in his early 20s, causing the earl to perceive him as unworthy of attention. Perhaps the earl would have reacted differently had he known that Mithra was the son of a duke, but that was mere conjecture.
You,
he bellowed.
I'm an earl. You know, where are your manners?
Mithra vividly recalled how he simply stared at the earl in response.
if he gets this riled up over such a trivial matter, maybe he suffers from a calcium deficiency.
He had recently learned the term from a friend from another world.
What a bother,
he muttered to himself. At that point, he had not yet ascended to the rank of duke, which meant the earl outranked him. Simultaneously, he had been taught never to bow his head to someone of lower nobility than his family's title. Consequently, he genuinely didn't know how to proceed. Thus, he uttered those words, and indeed, things became quite troublesome.
You're causing a commotion for Sir Mithra.
What is a mere earl doing, reprimanding Sir Mithra in such a manner? It's truly a pitiful sight.
Mithra's pals had already caused quite a ruckus. Suddenly, a gang of knights dressed in black emerged from some hidden spot. A few of them confronted the earl. The panicked earl finally remembered who Mithra really was, but it was too late. The leader of the night crew approached Mithra and saluted him.
Let us take care of him.
fine then.
Mithra couldn't say anything more. The next day's newspapers were filled with proof of the earl's wrongdoing and deceit. Whether all the accusations were true or made up, Mithra couldn't be sure. The only thing that was certain was that the earl was swiftly arrested and stripped of his title. Naturally, this encounter only intensified people's fear of Mithra. Just a simple collision had brought down an earl. It taught Mithra the true extent of his power, a lesson he would remember for a long time. Similar incidents would happen many times after that. He never intended for any of it to occur, but gradually, he transformed into one of the most powerful and awe-inspiring nobles in the land. Through these experiences, Mithra understood the impact of his words, which turned him into a more reserved person. On this particular occasion, the sharp intelligence officers of his duchy informed him of Rudra's disappearance. Whether he was dead or had fled the throne didn't matter. What mattered was whether Velgrynd, the Empire's guardian dragon, would support Masayuki the hero as the new emperor. As stated in the report he received,
It is believed that the mysterious marshal is none other than Velgrynd the Cardinal. She is associated with Sir Masayuki, suggesting that he has inherited the soul of the true Emperor Rudra.
Anyone with even a hint of reason could understand the futility of defying this situation. Unlike most royal families, bloodline played a minor role in imperial succession. While the public may place great importance on it, the real power players in the empire knew that Rudra's soul was the crucial factor. As a duke, Mithra was well aware of this reality.
If I mess up, it's not just the end of my noble lineage. My followers might revolt and put their lives on the line. I need to brace myself and take decisive action.
Mithra, being a sharp noble, saw this as the only sensible choice. His ideal scenario was to distance himself from politics while maintaining his influence over the nobility. If he could keep his noble title, money would never be a problem. The stipend he received would be more than enough to pursue his passion for painting without getting tangled in government affairs. It was a realistic goal. So, Mithra's ultimate dream was to secure this advantageous position. As a backup plan, he considered retiring to his homeland. He would focus on managing his rural duchy, serving as its lord and dealing strictly with local matters. This way, he could keep himself occupied while still finding time for his art. Plus, it would minimize the number of bothersome people meddling in his life. It seemed like a fair compromise. But the absolute worst-case scenario was provoking Velgryn's wrath. Mithra knew he had to avoid that at all costs, which is why he was fighting tooth and nail. With that in mind, Mithra devised a plan. He would use his notorious reputation to exile himself from the capital. By maintaining his trademark arrogance, he would make people think he was too much trouble to deal with. If enough turned against him, they could come up with a story, and he would pretend to fly into a rage and resign. Negotiations would be cut short, but then Mithra would pretend to realize the predicament he had put himself in and flee the capital to save face. That was the tale he wanted to spin, but instead, Minutes offered him two absurd options.
You want to rule over the empire? Or would you consider joining forces and helping us out?
Both options were a definite no. However, Mithra knew it wouldn't be wise to reject them outright. So, he let Minutes keep talking. Testarossa, the diplomat from Tempest, also chimed in, trying to justify their position. But Mithra didn't need all that explanation. He already knew the ins and outs. In any negotiation, it was crucial to be well informed beforehand.
What do I do now? Neither of these options interests me. Getting tangled in national politics in the current state of affairs would only drain me to death. If I invest more time than I already do, I won't just lose my painting hours. I won't have any time left to spend with my dear daughter.
Mithra indeed had an adorable 3-year-old daughter, and a newborn son had recently joined their family. However, his wife's behavior troubled him greatly. Ever since their son's birth, she had become distant, completely ignoring Mithra's presence. She was the daughter of a marquis, and Mithra had fallen head over heels for her at first sight. They hastily tied the knot, but her aloof and brooding attitude now unsettled him. Although their marriage had begun with a touch of formality, given the circumstances, it was somewhat expected. She had blessed him with the long-awaited son he desired, and Mithra wanted to cultivate their love over time. But,
Yet, I have to firmly decline this proposal, or I won't even have a moment to talk to my wife. I may not be overly concerned about the Empire's fate, but I must prevent my own family from falling apart.
Mithra reaffirmed his determination. He yearned for a peaceful resolution today, but he needed to inject some discord into the conversation. It was time to deliver his response.
This is pointless. You're not scheming a rebellion, are you? Spare me such nonsense, if you please. And Lady Testarossa, right? On what grounds do you meddle in our empire's internal affairs? I understand your nation emerged victorious in the war. However, we have already established a peace treaty, granting you territorial airspace and diplomatic relations. But do you believe you hold the right to interfere with our sovereignty?
Taking such a bold stance at once entailed risks, but Mithra was resolute. The person he challenged was Tempest's chief diplomat, a nation renowned for its formidable influence. She served as the official representative of the demon lord in foreign lands, and Mithra couldn't disregard the potential for another war if he provoked her. He was well aware that Testarossa was none other than the feared demon Blanc, and he displayed remarkable impoliteness toward a great demon dreaded by the entire empire.
I won't demand that you leave this room, though. I'm sure your leader has a vested interest in the future direction of his allies after all.
Well, then I am immensely grateful to you.
Mithra had attempted to provoke her, but she simply shrugged it off. It caught him off guard.
I never expected her to maintain such composure despite my provocative remarks. What is her intention?
He dreaded her wrath, but her serenity caught him off guard. Provoking her anger would put his life at risk. The weight of his words had already taken a toll on him, so he had to carefully assess his next move.
What should I do now? Should I proceed?
Taking the next step seemed overwhelmingly daunting. Therefore, he chose to divert his attention elsewhere.
Allow me to remind you that I am the half-brother of the esteemed Emperor Rudra. We are still uncertain about his fate, yet you unilaterally decide to crown this stranger, named Masayuki, as our new ruler. And now, audaciously, you seek my assistance? I am utterly perplexed by your reasoning.
Mithra continued speaking, raising his voice slightly. Depending on her reaction, he would need to swiftly adapt his approach. The true battle was unfolding right before their eyes. However, his gamble backfired in the most unfavorable way imaginable.
My dear, are you expressing your dissatisfaction with my decision? If you believe that your relation to Rudra will shield you from the consequences, allow me to enlighten you about the fallacy of such wishful thinking.
Lady Velgrynd?
An internal scream reverberated through Mithra's mind. The shock was so overwhelming that he felt his soul might escape through his throat. This went beyond losing a mere debate, he was utterly cornered. He knew it was all over now, and strangely enough, he felt a peculiar sense of relief. Perhaps that's why he felt compelled to speak his mind from this point onward.
Lady Velgrynd, our former marshal, and the guardian dragon of the Empire, if I'm not mistaken? I had no idea you would be present in this conference. It is truly an honor to meet you.
Firstly, he aimed to display indifference towards her. Deep down, he longed to flee the room immediately, but he had realized that it was an impossible feat.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Lamar, Anselmo, KACP9R, Tony, Donald Williams, Moab A, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.